Welcome to my studio. I'm so glad you're here. Today I'm going to be working on this acrylic painting that you see. I've got a pretty good start on it. I'm going to be putting on with you today some finishing touches. This painting, I'll back up a little bit. This painting is 36 inches tall by 36 inches wide. And I'll go through the colors here. What I'm going to do is hope that if you want to be quiet today and just watch, then that's great. And if you'd like to join me in the chat, I would appreciate that too. That's wonderful. So let's go through some of the colors and I'm going to click over here so I can see. And I see that someone's watching. Thank you so much for joining. And let's go through some of the colors that we have. So over here, the colors that we'll be using today are from Golden, Titanium White. Just stick this guy down in here. And Diarrhea Yellow. I love this yellow. This is such a friendly, happy, sunshiny yellow. All right, and then over here we have Light Ultramarine Blue. And thanks to everyone that's watching. And welcome. All right, Light Ultramarine Blue. Glad to have you here. We're going to be working on this this new tree series painting that I've got going, and adding some detail. And I'll show you some little. Oh, hi Hugo. Golden is supreme quality. You know what? I totally agree with you. These are the heavy-bodied. And hey, Homa, thank you so much, Homa. Hi there. So, yeah, Golden, I love to use the Golden acrylics. This is the heavy-bodied type of acrylic. I do use the fluid acrylics when I'm toning a canvas, but for the most part, this super thick canvas, the super thick texture of the heavy-bodied acrylic works really, really well. So here we have the Naphthol. Hey, Chrissy. Thank you for joining. And oh my gosh, I loved your live stream the other day. I was just rolling listening to all the stories about punk and all the things. So it's great to see you. Okay, so Naphthol Red Light is another golden color. And you see this little, hey Molly, great to see you. And yes, and so this little kind of potato chippy effect that I got here, this was a tool that I have that I squeeze the paint out. It saves paint because these paints are expensive, and so every little bit that you can get out is always great, and also it's good for the environment. Look at that tiny, tiny little thin amount there's like nothing left in the tube when you use the tube wringer. So I'll set this over here. So the other color that we've got here today is Mars Black. And then the last one is an Arteza acrylic. Yeah, safe paint, exactly. That's always a goal. I use so much paint. It seems kind of crazy, like why are you saving paint? You're using so much, but it is always good to conserve. So Arteza, this is the, and I got this one from Arteza. This was a gift from Arteza. I'm a Arteza affiliate. And this phthalo green, I had never used phthalo green before, and I just love this. So we'll be using that today as well. And then also I'm going to get, you know what, I'm going to walk over here, and I have a little, here in my studio, I've got a little thing here. I've got also the supplies that you see today, canvas, books, brushes, all kinds of things like that. I do have an Amazon shop. I'm an Amazon influencer also. If you type this in, amazon.com/shop/Dena_Tollefson, my recommendations for art supplies, it costs you nothing. I do get compensated from Amazon for it, but it's at no additional cost. So if you give me a little bit of love out there, that would be great. And now let's say hi, a quick hi, to Romeo and Groshi Tollefson. So these are my little cockatiels, and they're gonna make their debut saying hello. There's kind of a glare here. Let's see, oh, there's Romeo, and he's the gray one. And Romeo does bite, but he sings. And then this is Groshi, and they're both cockatiels. We've had them over 17 years, and I know that cockatiels can live to be over 20 years. So Yeah, they are happy birds, and I'll tell you, they're actually quite noisy. Aren't you two kind of noisy? Yes, they're very they're very noisy. And then they wrote a note also. They wrote a note to everyone. Remember to subscribe to Dena's channel if you haven't already. So isn't that what you guys say? Yeah. Yes. Yes, we're saying. Oh, now they're gonna fight about it. Well, you two should behave. All right, let's go paint again. Go back over to the painting. Okay, so let's lift off the cover. And I've got some of the paint already out here. This is my Masterson Stay Wet palette. So let's get a little bit of color mixed up and get started here. So, hey Maria, yes, thank you. All right, so in order to looking at what I've already got on the canvas, and again, I'll back up a little bit. So this canvas is 36 inches by 36 inches tall, 36 wide, 36 tall. And I have already kind of a good layer of paint on everything, but what I want to do now is add in some of these interim colors and some of the details, that type of thing. So I'm going to start first by mixing up. Oh, thank you, Chrissy. I'm going to start by mixing up a gray. So it is important to always have gray in your work. And the reason for that is because you see these really bright colors that I'm using here. If I am using only bright colors, then it can come off as, and I do tend towards Fauvism in my work, but it can come off as kind of vulgar if the colors are too bright. So let's just mix up a nice gray here. And all I used was the Mars Black, just a standard gray with the titanium white. All right, let's get this guy. And I like to really thoroughly mix the paint up, make a nice color. And I want to take a moment to just say I appreciate all of you. I appreciate your likes. I appreciate your subscription, and it means a lot to me, and I want to thank you for that. And now's a moment to pull out the little grayscale here. So come here, guy. So tell me in the chat, have you guys, do you guys typically ever use a grayscale at all in your work? Oh, thank you, Chrissy. Do you guys use a grayscale? Let me know in the chat if you're used to this. If not, I'll go over this a little bit for those of you who aren't familiar with what a grayscale is. This is also out on my Amazon site. And also if you, yeah, Chrissy, you use the grayscale. Yeah, it's very helpful. So for those of you who are wondering, what is a grayscale? So on my painting, I am trying to get a very wide range of values, which mean light versus dark. So here you can see, I'm going to just put this right up onto it. You can see that I've got the darkest dark, which is a value 100% or value 1. And I also have, and here's a little bit of it right here, there's white. I'm also using white in my painting. So I try to have the full range of values in my work. And the reason for that is because I want my work to be as dramatic as possible. So most of the values that are in here are going to be in these middle numbers. So like value 7, value 6, 4, and 5. And there'll be some values that are out in these lighter numbers and some in the dark. And I'm going to back up. And if you kind of squint at the painting a little bit, give a little squint. I'm squinting now. You can see that we've got the dark over here, which is the darkest value. And then up in here we have some of these lighter colors. So if I'm squinting at this, I'm seeing some of that yellow, that light yellow. That's maybe, probably maybe this or this value, value 8 or 7. And then the rest of the things are within these other colors. So they're within these other darks and the lights. And it's helpful when you mix up a color, and if you use this grayscale, so you can see that the color I just mixed, what you do is you hold the color that you just mixed over the paint that you're mixing. See, that one's too dark. That one's way too dark. You can see when you peek through the keyhole, and then you can quickly find what your value is. So it looks like that's pretty darn close. Value 5. Let's look at 6. You know, maybe a 5 or a 6. It's not. This one's not a 7. It's not an 8. It's not a 9, and it's certainly not a 10. So I'm trying to keep my grays that I'm using within this range, this middle range. And then that way I know that when I put this on the canvas, it's going to be a color that is going to work with, it's not going to stick out in a strange way, light versus dark way. So let's just toss a little bit on here. Okay, so for example, I can put this gray color that I just mixed, and I can put that right here on my painting. And if I back up, it's going to kind of blend with the other colors. And this allows me to make the painting very colorful. If I stay within the value range, I can go really colorful with it, and it can kind of get away with it by getting really colorful. So let's get a little daub right there. And I'm going to use this same gray kind of really everywhere. I want to put it in the grass. I want to put it in the sky. Let's get a little bit of that in the sky. A good spot right here. There we go. All right. So when I back up, you can kind of see that it's blending in with the other colors the way I wanted it to. Now, if I wanted to put something that was going to be a highlight or a contrast, I would have, use a much darker value. So let's look on here. If I just hold and kind of squint when I hold and look at the value here, let's see. I think we can put one right kind of down here in the grass area. I think we can get another one just right over here. Let's just get a little color. What this does is I'm thinking about the adding a dynamic element rather than just everything green down here in the grass. You can see I've already got some yellows and that kind of thing. But look what a nice little perk adding some of that gray does. So let's just give another one, and let's do a little gray mark right up here on the canvas onto that tree trunk. It works, yes, Chrissy, it does work. It does. Chrissy, I liked that boat that you, the boat scene that you did on your live stream. You had these, you had used the colors. You started with like the blues and the greens, and then you moved into reds. It was really lovely, very nice to watch. So I can add, you see here's another gray that we just put in recently. I can put this little guy in here. There we go. So this technique that you see here, called Daubism, it's a technique that I developed in the year 2000. And what I was doing was I was, yes, it is a simple palette, but you did an amazing job, Chrissy, with that painting. So this Daubism technique is a hybrid between low relief sculpture, which is this very touchable effect here, and a mosaic where each of these colors is individual, so they're not like half of the daub is one color and half is another color. Each of them stand on their own as an individual color, and then the other aspect of it is a painting. So it's a low relief painting, a low relief sculpture, and a mosaic. But what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to think about like pointillism. If you're familiar with, who's familiar with pointillism? If you are, so thank you so much, Chrissy. Thank you. If you're familiar with pointillism, You know, pointillism's a type of divisionism where each of the colors is separated from the others, and that's, so Daubism is technically a form of divisionism. Yeah, pointillism. So pointillism, gosh, I love, have you guys been to museums where you've seen seen some of the pointillist works? And they're just amazing to watch and see, like the kind of glittering effect. So they put one color next to another, and it's really kind of great. All right. You know, I think when the knife goes on here, it makes kind of a little sound like a frog or a toad, don't you think? A little bit toady. Well, kind of like it does, like a little croak. Let's see if we can make it croak here. Yep, there's the croak. Oh my gosh. Well, we've got to have a little fun while we're painting, right? A little croaking. The croaking. Oh, okay. Does that remember the croaking raven doth bellow for revenge? There we go. And I'll say my husband's gonna like that, and that's a Shakespeare quote. But if he watches the live stream later, then I'll say that that was a little ode to him. There we go. All right, so now that we've gotten some gray going here, let's go ahead and I'm gonna just wipe off my knife, and I'm gonna dip it into this is just a little bit of, this is an old ice cream container, but I like to get the knife all the way clean before we mix the next color. All right, so now get this really nice and clean. And then here are some of my brushes, or some of my other palette knives. I'll just kind of pull some of these out. Ooh, whoopsie. I think one fell. Did you fall down here? Yes, you did. All right, so here's some other of the knives that we have here. And these are all different sizes. These are, some of these are made by RGM, some by Blick. And this is a kind of an older one I've had. This is a low Cornell. This is a 118 size. Really nice for mixing paint. And then I've got the granddad of all palette knives here. Look at this monster. This can really move a lot of paint. But I like to just get a variety of sizes, and it's kind of fun to get a new one. Look at that one. I think this one could actually cause damage to someone. If, you know, that one could be a weapon, which we don't want to have a weapon, but maybe that's the one in case there's danger. All right, so let's see, this little guy here. This is an RGM 60 from Blick. All right, so let's mix up a little bit more here. Let's take some of this wonderful, this is the phthalo green from Arteza. Let's mix up a color using that. So I'm gonna take the green, and let's add a little bit of the gray that we just used. And just blend that up. But what I'm doing is, instead of having the green just right out of the tube, adding this little bit of the gray, which was just the titanium white and the Mars black. Just by adding that little bit of gray, kind of puts it into another more, I guess, a more muted kind of a category. Okay, I'm going to grab my grayscale back. So what I'm thinking of is I want to put this on the painting kind of in this area here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get a color when I squint at it that's going to get close to that color. So something in like a 3, 4, or 5 would be about the right color. So let's see if we have a 3, 4, or 5 here. Yeah, it's closer. It's actually closer to a 3. I'm going to add a little bit more gray, a little bit more of the white. and black together. Let's just lighten that up, add a little bit of white here. There we go. It's like mixing colors is so fun to do. If you guys have some requests for future videos you'd like me to do or what you'd like to see more of, let me know, and I will be including that also. You can leave a comment if you're watching live. You can leave a chat. Therapy mixing color. Oh, okay. Are you talking about, Christy? You're talking about like breathing, like the breathing exercise kind of thing, kind of like what I did on my last video, like the relaxing breathing thing? Or are you thinking like, give me a little bit more detail, give me a little bit more, because that sounds good. That sounds like a fun topic. And mixing color is always so therapeutic. Okay, so something like the last video. Okay, so for those of you who are wondering what we're talking about, I just did a video, and it's all about, yeah, okay, perfect, Chrissy. So I just did a video about the idea of doing guided relaxation through muscle relaxing and guided breathing through prompts, and it's while I'm painting. And so Chrissy's idea, and actually, you know what, my mother, Helen Schaefer, had made a similar, she watched the video last night. She had made a comment also that she said that mixing color, just mixing color, could be a neat video of unwinding and relaxing. And what the whole concept is to have a chemical-free way, a safe and natural way to relax and unwind. Because in our lives, we all have these lives where we have a lot of electronics and there's a lot of stress and that type of thing, and sometimes it's just hard to unwind, and having a safe and natural way to do that is always a good thing. So sometimes, you know, you're laying in bed and it's hard to, I know I have this, it's hard to fall asleep because you're thinking about all the things that you want to do. So yeah, and there's something very relaxing about mixing colors. So yeah, Chrissy, I will definitely do another one of those. And then as far as the length of the video, the last one was close to 30 minutes. Do you think that's the right length, or do you think I should go longer or shorter for the one with mixing color? Leave me a comment, and if you are watching then later after the live stream, you could leave me a comment also in the comment section. Let me know what you think for what's your preferred length if I do another video with guided relaxation but just breathing. All right, so let's get a little bit here. And in fact, you know, what we can do is we can just also think about relaxing now. Just take a deep breath and let your shoulders drop. And just relax. There, I see I'm getting tired now. I'm relaxing myself. What if the phone drops down to the ground and then you hear a snoring sound? Oh, okay. 30 to 40 minutes sounds good. Okay. And Chrissy, thank you for saying. I know you had written me a sweet comment about that was helpful to watch that before you started your first live stream, which by the way was a great success, and that watching my calming video was helpful to you. So, all right. So I will definitely do more of those. I know it's getting quite a few views, so that's also a good sign. All right. So this little, what I'm doing here is I'm putting, and I'm going to back up a little bit so you can see now how the canvas is looking. All right. And this little color that we're adding, this color here that we've mixed up with the phthalo green from Arteza and a little bit of the Blick little bit of the Blick white, titanium white, a little bit of the Blick Mars Black. There we go. All right. Now what I'm going to do is, let's put a little bit, we can put a little bit of the, so yeah, you know, we have a lot of stress. And it's always nice to have a natural way to do it that's chemical free and, you know, it doesn't cost anything and, you know, all that stuff, and it's a good thing. So, all right, so let me get this, and also thank you for your likes, by the way, too. I appreciate it. So let's take a look at this. I want to use some of this darker color that we have here, the color that was the phthalo green from Arteza. I want to put some of that now onto the canvas. So let's take a look at the scale, peeking through like a keyhole. That looks like that's about a value 3 or a 2, something like that. So I'm going to go up here, and what I can do is I can put that color down here in the transition between the medium green and the darker green. I think let's do that. So let's toss a little bit of that up now. So, you know, sometimes the daubs that I'll put on are kind of arbitrary. Like I'll say, okay, I'm going to put a darker color in, and you know, that's fine or whatever. But oftentimes I'm planning them carefully where they're going to go. And I like how that's looking. That adds a little bit of dimensionality into this kind of quiet area on the canvas. And also you'll see, if you're familiar with, the idea of warm versus cool, I want to do a live stream at some point, talk about like color wheel and color temperature. I'm thinking of maybe doing that for a live stream. Let me know if you think that might be a good idea. So this is a very cool version of green. And then we've got a very warm green on the canvas right now. Let's get a little guy there, okay. And we'll put one here. Great. And for everybody who's just joined, I want to thank you for joining. And I appreciate you being here today. Get a little guy there. There we go. All right, so let's back up. I always like to kind of back up after I put something in. And what I'll do too is if I've put something in that's really jarring or is a problematic color, I'll either try and put a glob over the top, or I'll go in and maybe even take some Q-tips and wipe it out and try and get rid of it if it's a problem color. Problem meaning that it's the wrong color, either too light, too dark, the wrong kind of colors. So thank you, Chrissy. Thank you for saying that. All right, so let's wipe off the tool. All right, and now I'm gonna get out my spoon and show you how I paint with that. So the spoon, this is just a regular eating spoon. I've got 2 sizes that I'll use. So I use this bigger one. This big guy here is a tablespoon, like when you are serving up vegetables or something. And I save these spoons for only for painting. So once you use a tool for painting, you should not use it again for eating. And of course, it goes without saying that even though I'm looking at these colors and I'm getting hungry, I always a posh, oh, it is kind of a posh spoon. Yes, Chrissy, I have I'll say kind of an obsession with silver spoons. So my mother-in-law had a wonderful sterling collection. And so I've kind of taking on with the Christmas gifts, people will give me something in my silver pattern. So this is a Grand Baroque, Wallace Grand Baroque sterling spoon. This one is a silver plate. But they're just, I feel like that by using a posh spoon, I feel like it just goes better. It's a nice thing to use. You can use stainless spoon, like the knives are stainless, the palette knives. You can use really, you probably could use a plastic spoon too, I bet would work. So I'm just putting this on here. Now the spoon is not flexible the way the spoon is not flexible in the way that the palette knife is. So yeah, common stainless, right. The common stainless. So doesn't he look like he's a little man with a hat, wearing a hat? Kind of like a little avatar. Now if Pencil Connoisseur were here, and he might be, or he might watch later, Pencil Connoisseur, if you are watching, this is an ode to you because I'm picturing your pencil art with like a little cap on a spoon. If we ever do a collaboration, then we'll have to do something like that. So, so the spoon, anyway, back to this, the spoon is not flexible. It is rigid, and so it leaves a different kind of, or a different quality of mark than the palette knife does. And I have tried doing paintings with just only spoons, and I found that I do like to have the flexibility of being able to, literally flexibility, of the knives as well, because they can get into little corners and do some things that the spoon can't. But it's very difficult to get the same effect with just a regular flexible knife that you can get with an actual spoon. We'll get a guy right up there. There we go. And I'm aiming for a cupped shape. And the reason I'm trying to get a cupped shape is because, yeah, it's another handy tool, exactly. And now this cupped shape that I'm trying to go for here is important because when you walk past the canvas, then it will give kind of a glittering jewel-like effect, having this cupped form, as opposed to just if it was thick paint that was just laid on very flat, in a very flat manner. Then can get, let's get a mark right over here. Whoopsie. Now if it's a little bit messy, then I'll just come back. There we go. But do you see that this has got, I like this juxtaposition between the flat mark of the spoon and then some of the things that I've done with the palette knife. And so like a previous one with the spoon, here's a previous mark. I can kind of identify my marks after a while of which tool did I use, and was it spoon or was it palette knife? So let's get another mark up on here. And thank you for everyone who's joined also. I appreciate you watching. There we go. Okay, so let's back up and let's see how that's looking. These new marks. Okay, so far so good. And what I'll do now is let me show you, if I use a knife. I'm gonna get this, let me go back over here to the knives. Let's use this just for fun. I'll show you what I can do with this. Oh, your dinner's ready. And your hubby's been cooking. Well, hey, that's nice, Chrissy. Tell your husband that I think he's great for cooking. And he's a good guy. All right, so yeah, Hugo, perfect for big formats. You know, it is. This knife, look at that. It's, and hugs to you. Okay, so this is a Blick 60 knife, Hugo. Let me just put some on here so you can kind of see the difference between using the spoon. You see I can get a similar mark to the spoon, but it's flatter because this tool does not have, I'm gonna get a little bit more paint on him. This tool does not have the, oh, hey Dana, isn't that fabulous, this shape? It's got a, just such an unusual form, an ovoid form. So, and for those of you who are wondering, this RGM RGM is the company that makes it, and then they license it to, it's licensed in through Blick. But this is such a great little shape. And, whoops, get a good edge on that. And it's good to see you, by the way, Dana, too, and Hugo. All right, just a little bit right there. And I'm also working on getting the idea of having different shapes, because I think, whoops, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe this off right away. It is important. Okay, Hugo's going to work on a big mural. Oh, that's going to be awesome, Hugo. That's going to be really neat. Oh my goodness. I'm excited to see. I hope that you post about it so so we can all see that mural you're working on. That's going to be really neat. And Dana, I know you said you had just bought a knife recently, so a palette knife. Yeah, you will. Okay, good, Hugo. So, and Dana, I know that you said that you had just recently bought a palette knife, so I'm curious to hear, you know, which one you got and what, how you like using it. Have you tried it yet? That kind of thing. Let me just get another. Let's pick out the weapon one here. Look at this kind of crazy guy. This looks like a piece of pie, doesn't it? In fact, we got some blueberries yesterday from Hy-Vee, the grocery store Hy-Vee, and the when they came, so I had that like delivery. I like if they are delivered, it's kind of nice. They come to the door and they put them in the kitchen, and it's really wonderful. But anyway, the blueberries that came normally they were Dole blueberries, and normally they were Driscoll blueberries. But these blueberries were like super soft, and they the flavor was good, but they were a little mushy. And so my husband and I are eating them last night, and I have a lot of them. I got like 6 containers of these things, and the like 6 pints of blueberries. And then he was talking about how they were soft, and I said that maybe I could make a blueberry pie. And so he is like so excited. So my husband's at work today right now, and I told him that that later, after I get done painting for the day, that I would be working on a blueberry pie for him. So this is now, I've got the pie shape here, and then we've got kind of a blueberry color, a light blueberry color. But yeah, he's gonna get some pie tonight. And I so rarely cook. Yeah. Okay, so Dana, you got 2 that on the store at Awesome, and the disposable paper palette, awesome. Okay, so yeah, let me know what you think of those and how they go. Hey, Gray, thank you for joining, and it's good to see you. So this kind of, this mark here I can make with the little, we'll call it the piece of pie shaped, or this wedge shaped knife. It seems like it doesn't, you know, it isn't really good for putting on large amounts. It's really, I actually normally use it for doing a lot of mixing paint, because of the edge. You can just go choo, 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 choo on the edge. There we go. But it's useful for making a variety of different marks on the canvas. All right, so let's get a little bit of that color here. And then after we put a few marks on, it's always good to back up and take a look. Let's see how we're going here. A little bit of our setup there, okay. And then see Grocery and Romeo back there? Hey guys. Yeah, oh, Romeo said hello back. I love it. Okay, so let's get in a little closer. And now let's put a little bit of, now that we've done some of the blues, and what you can also do too, as a note, with the extra paint. So I've got extra paint in here, and Romeo's gonna sing us a song. You can just, you can wipe that off into the palette, And then that way paint isn't wasted too. And then you can make kind of like a larger shape, a larger color, like a gray, mixing all of the colors together. The extra colors, the extra off the knife. All right, so let's go back over to this little small knife here. This is kind of a go-to. And Gray, what city or what country are you from? Are you from the U.S. or are you from the U.K.? Or I'm from Iowa, USA, and I know we've got different people on from different areas of the world. It's always kind of fun to hear where people are from. All right, so let's mix up, well actually, you know what? We can just use a little bit of the yellow. Let's actually mix some. Let's take some of this yellow over here. And for those of you who have just joined, I appreciate you joining, and I appreciate you being here. So let's take some of this diarrhea yellow, and that's just from our golden diarrhea yellow, and let's add a little bit of the titanium white in here. And what I want to do now, and I'm going to grab our grayscale, what I'm going to be doing now is thinking about a color that is from on the trees. So let's add a little bit more detail on the trees. And so if I hold the grayscale up and peek through and squint, so I can see that the white, obviously it's much too bright, but the value, let's see when we get close here. Looks like we're at about a value 9 or 8 for the paint that's on there now. So the color that I mix here, I'm going to want to make like a 9 or an 8 if I want it to blend in, which is what I do want. So let's do the yellow and the white together. This makes kind of a pretty color. Now that we're talking about pie earlier, eating pie, this is a little like a banana cream pie. Kind of delicious looking. All right. So let me now grab the color that we have here, and we were looking for something that was going to be like a, somewhere in here, an 8 or a 7, maybe a 9. Your Cajun country. Oh, Louisiana. Okay, and that explains, Dana, why you were interested in going to New Orleans. Okay, wonderful. So my husband's family, his mom and dad were both professors at Tulane University, and then they ended up. Then this was during the, I think during the 60s and 70s, I believe, and then there was all kinds of civil unrest, and they ended up moving to Kansas, and then they ended up staying there for decades. But and so he's from Kansas. So yeah, so he was born. My husband was born in New Orleans, and it's a beautiful area, that Cajun area. Dana, do you like to eat those beignets from? What is the name of that? Oh gosh, what's the name of that? Is it Cafe something? Oh, what's the name of that place? Type in if you remember. Is it Cafe de Monde or de Monde? Cafe de Monde, is that right? All right, so I'm just putting this color here, and I'm mixing something that's a little darker than what's already on, and it's a transition between the lights and the darks that we already have. So let's back up a little bit and then see. And what we can also do is add a little purple to this yellow color and make a neutral that can be used in the middle of the, kind of the middle of the tree. There we go. Okay, so let's do that. Let's add a little purple to this yellow mixture. So I'm going to wipe the knife off because I don't want to contaminate the purple with the yellow that's on the knife right now. But if I just go grab a little touch of this, this is the dioxidine right in there, that dioxazine purple. And let's just add a little bit. So thank you, Dana. So let's just add some purple, and we can make kind of a yellow ochre kind of a color. Now I've got yellow, yellow and white in here. But if it was only purple and the yellow, we could make kind of a, yeah, Cafe du Monde. Yeah. Okay, so Cafe du Monde, and then Dana can tell us all about Cafe du Monde. But they have like what, those beignets, and oh my gosh, you know, you have like you're walking around in New Orleans and then you go and get one of those things and they're just so tender and delicious, those little donut-y kind of things. Oh my goodness. Now I'm really hungry, Dana. All right, let's get a color. So you see this neutral color that we mixed up? This is now technically also a gray, even though it looks like a yellowy gray, but it's a neutral. And so it's important to get enough neutrals, especially when you're using bright colors. Important to get enough neutrals on the canvas. Let's go right in on that one and put him there. That's good. And we'll back up and see. So what I'm trying to do is get enough of the texture, so we're turning the form. We're going from the areas that are light and then the areas that are dark, and a bridge in between. Want to make sure I've got enough texture going in there. All right, so let's get in this area here. So I've got some flat paint, but we can do a little bit of texture with this new color we just mixed up. This really neutral color, and here's next to the gray, so you can see compared to the black and white gray. But you see this is this would be kind of a nice color to wear. If you think of it like, okay, if you have a bright top, you might wear some neutral, like a neutral pant or a neutral skirt or neutral shorts, so that not everything is bright. And when you do that, then what happens is then the brights look brighter and then the neutrals just kind of blend in. Let's go all the way up on the top of the tree here. Let's do one right here. There we go. Oh, and cafe au lait with the coffee milk. Yes. Oh my gosh. Dana, you're right. I have to go back to New Orleans now after this discussion. Absolutely. Goodness. All right. You know what? I like that neutral color that we just mixed up. I like that so much. Let's make a variation of that. So let's go in and grab some of the yellow. All right. And then let's grab some more of the purple. Wipe that off. Get some more of the purple. And the ratio of yellow to purple, I'm going to put more yellow than purple, because let me get a little bit more of the yellow, because the yellow is not as strong of a tinter. This particular yellow, the diarrhea yellow, the purple is much stronger. So when I say that, I mean I'll tell you how I knew that, or how I can tell that, is let me just grab if you look on here, this is the dioxazine purple, which is the one that's this guy right here that we just pulled out. So if you look, you can actually can't even see there, or barely see. There are black bars here, and this is an actual swatch of paint that Golden puts on right onto the container. And let me hold that at the same time that I'm getting the yellow. And the yellow on here, look at this guy. Do you see the black bars? You can see through, because it's much more transparent than the purple. So that's why if I had never even worked with those colors, I'd be able to tell, like, oh, look at that. I can see not how light or how dark it is, but I can tell that I cannot see the black bars at the top with the color on the dioxazine purple, but I can see them on the diarrhea yellow. So knowing that, I'll know that if I wanted to have it be knowing that means that the purple is going to be very powerful next to, and if you peek in there, you can see like the red. The red is a little bit more transparent too. So Dana, this is acrylic. So I also do my technique just purely in oil paint. I also do that. But look at this, we can make kind of this darker color now here. I'll move the spoon. Let's move him out of the way. All right, there we go. So do you see that we've put more of the purple in and less of the yellow than we did with the first mixture? And also there's no white in there. So Karen K, hey, how are you? Great to see you. Karen, we're working on a new painting here. I'll just back up so you can take a quick peek. So this is a 36 tall by 36 wide here in the studio. And I'm right now mixing some colors and using the grayscale to determine where they'd be placed on the painting. Knowing that here we've got our darkest darks here. We've got our, on the tree trunks, we've got our lightest colors. It's your day off. Oh, watercolor postcards. Oh, that'll be nice. You know, I love your cards, Karen. Love them, absolutely love them. So yeah, I see if you, are you going to be posting them on Facebook, or will you maybe even be doing them on YouTube? I'll be looking for them. So, okay, so the grayscale, we're going to do a color here. And if you peek through the grayscale and squint, you can see our color. So obviously our color is much darker than these light versions. So obviously much darker than the white. And you know what, I just got some paint on my finger. I'm going to wipe that off. My mother will always tease me a little bit. I don't like to get dirty. Okay. All right, there we go. Thank you, Mama. But the color, I think we're getting a color that's close to like a 3 or maybe a, well, it's probably about a 3. Maybe a 4 or 3, something like that. So on the canvas, I should be placing it somewhere where we need a 4 or a 3. Okay, now the grayscale color wheel, Karen, and that, and then Dana, let me get to your question. Just hold that question a moment and I'll get to this. The grayscale and value finder, this is out on my Amazon page, and the color, I've also got color wheels out there too. I'll show you what that page is, Karen. So it's amazon.com/shop/Dena_Tollefson. And you have to put the whole thing in if you just go to Amazon. It really kind of depends on the gallery. Some galleries, I'm going to plug this thing in here. Some galleries are looking for, get that plugged in, there we go. Yeah, see, some galleries are saying that they don't care and that they want to have, you know, it has to be, whoops. And hopefully, when I plug this in, hopefully I didn't turn the screen. Is the screen still good? Okay, tell me if the screen is still, they're going a little berserk there. Tell me if the screen is still horizontal for you. Hopefully it is. Okay, so, and if it's not, then I apologize, because I had to plug the phone in, and so I'm using it with a cord, and sometimes when you plug it in with a cord, then it messes it up. So let me know. Somebody just write me a quick note and let me know if we're horizontal or did we go vertical on this. So the question Dana has is, do galleries prefer oil or acrylic? And again, it is up to the gallery. Some, you know, in my experience, I found that they don't care, because I'm doing work both in acrylic and I'm doing it in oil. And so sometimes a painting will come to them that was done in acrylic, like this one is in acrylic, and other times I will send them an oil. And it seems that the collectors don't seem to mind one way or the other. For me, it's kind of just a convenience thing. I like to, and hello to everybody who's just joined too, thank you. So it's horizontal, okay, good, okay, thank you, Dana, excellent. But whether galleries are looking for oil or they're looking for acrylic, I have never had a gallery that has said, I only want you to send me oil paintings, or I only want you to send me acrylic paintings. So in my experience, it's not been a thing either way. For those of you who are in galleries on the chat or who are watching after the live session, that's a great question that Dana's asking. And go ahead and weigh in if it's been in your experience that galleries either want, either oil or acrylic, and are they saying, oh, I don't want this one or I do want this one? Because it's kind of interesting to just think about. When I first when I first got into galleries, I was only doing my work in oil. And get a little guy right there. I was only working in oil, and then I needed to have some paintings ready. I had a gallery that was selling things very rapidly. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to do this in acrylic, because the drying time when I work in oil, it's actually easier to do this technique in oil, in my opinion. And I kind of prefer that. The oil has got this kind of unctuous feeling with it. We'll back up a little bit so you can see. And so I actually prefer working in the oil, but the acrylic, so the problem with my technique in oil is that you have to be willing to wait for it to dry. It takes, oh my goodness, it takes forever to dry. Like a painting of this size, with the marks as thick as they are, if this is in oil, then it's going to be 5 to 6 months before it can be shipped to a gallery. And so I was always working ahead, like, oh my gosh, what is a gallery going to want? What are they going to sell? What are they going to want more of? And then also, what mood was I in to paint, what subject, and that kind of thing. And so what ended up happening was it gives me more options. So I am painting in oil. Yeah, it takes 5 to 6 months of painting with marks this thick, 5 to 6 months in oil. The top surface of it will be in a couple weeks. It'll be dry to the touch. But I have to tell you this story of a gallery I used to be in the Midwest. I won't say the gallery because I don't know if maybe they would want to hear this or not, so I won't say what gallery it was. But they're a very nice gallery, and I got a call from them, and then they said, "Oh, we're so sorry, we're so sorry." And I thought, oh no, why are you calling me and telling me that you're sorry about something or so sorry? And they said that what had happened was somebody had come in. This was a gallery that had a lot of traffic coming through the gallery, and in a very tourist-centered area. And they said that someone had come in, and they believe it was a man because of the placement of the paint. Apparently what had happened was this guy had gone in, and I'm going to come over and touch one of these things. So the guy had squeezed one of the daubs, and paint had come out, and he had it now on his hand because it was oil paint. And so he wipes it on the gallery wall, the green paint. So the good thing is, you could tell he was not trying to deface the work. I think he was just curious, like, oh my gosh, I want to touch this. I want to squeeze. Oops, no, look, I just got it on my finger. I want to squeeze this, and so now I have paint on my finger. Silly me. But this is actually kind of what happened. He got paint on his finger, but it was the oil paint. That painting had been maybe a year old, and in the center core of that painting was a soft, wet paint. And it came out like, if you're familiar with the candy called Gushers, it had come like spewing out. He wipes it on the gallery wall, and it was like up high. So it was like, maybe, I'm pretty tall. I'm like 5'9.5", and the marks were like way, way up high. And so that's why we were thinking it was a guy. And then, you don't want to wipe it on your shirt or your pants. And so where do you put it? And so so they came over, and they're like, oh no, you know, the painting is, you know, has it been ruined? But I was able to come over to the gallery, and the good news is that we actually had a hard time finding. We knew it was a green daub, but we had a hard time finding actually on the painting where was the one that he had squeezed, or he had squeezed the the paint that was way, 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 you know, the top surface of the painting was very dry. So I learned my lesson from that, is that I should never send a painting before it's dry. And then also just to make sure, you know, that the daubs aren't too thick, that it would be able to have everything dry inside. Now this particular painting I'm working on here, this is acrylic. And so as far as drying time for that, that's going to be really a couple weeks, maybe a month before before it can be shipped, once it's all done and all painted. There we go. And we'll stick a little daub right there. So this color, this neutral I'm putting on, is really a combination of the purple and then the yellow. And we made this kind of golden color from that. All right. Now what I want to do is let me mix a little bit of white in. I'm going to rinse off my knife. There we go. Get a little bit of water on that so that way it'll wipe off. And let's get a new paper towel to wipe on. So let's take now and let's mix up a green. So I'm going to take some of our yellow, Tyrolite yellow. Let's put that here. And just a little touch of the Mars black. And again, I'm going to show you how much I know to put in there, is because let's get this idea of how transparent or how opaque something is. Here's the Mars black. You see that you can't see, and I'll hold that with my other hand. Whoopsie, it's really close. Okay, so the Mars black, I'll just hold this a second, and the Diarrhea yellow. So do you see the Diarrhea yellow? You can see through the black bars, and then they put a little bit of the actual paint on there. We can see that's super transparent. If I grab that black and hold that next to the yellow, you can see that the black is super, super, super opaque and a very strong tinter. So from that I know when I put a ratio of black and yellow together, if I want it to be much closer to black than yellow, then I should put a similar amount or do a ratio like that. Let me show you what I mean. I'll mix this yellow and this black together. And we're going to get kind of a really dark, dark green. And then the more of the light yellow, and it's because you saw that there was when we started, there was way more yellow than black. But look at this kind of wonderful dark olive green we can make by mixing just yellow and black. There's no blue put in here, but this makes just a wonderful earthy green. Get right up on that guy. Doesn't this look like a nice pair of pants color? I had a pair of pants this color. I wore them so often my mother said she got sick of seeing them. But it was a good color. All right, so let's get this up onto the palette, or onto the, so we've got this new color green, and I think we can get a little bit of that going there. This kind of light color. And we're going to kind of place him. What I'm aiming to do is add a variety of different colors. So when you go up and you're right up on the canvas, you can experience many, many different colors and many shades and variations. But then far away, I'm aiming for it to look far away like something like it's one object. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So far away, I'm looking for it to look like trees with a sky, and then a grassy area, and then some area in shadow, and then a distant area over here. So when I'm putting these colors in, I can put up really close. I can put up a variety of different colors as long as I'm careful that they're within the same value range. And I can play with the color temperature. You see this is a kind of a yellowy green, and that's more of a blue green. And that makes kind of an interesting play on the canvas, this juxtaposition. So in here you can see I've got a lot of these blue grays. It would be nice to just put a little touch of warmth, a little bit, there we go, to put this this hybrid between warm and cool. And in this area. And also I'm also thinking about, when I'm putting this on, I'm thinking about, get a color there, thinking about the idea of balancing the colors that we're putting in across the canvas. There we go. Okay, so now with this green that we made, and even though these are both neutrals, that was yellow plus purple, this one was yellow plus black. Let's add more yellow, so let me get the tool wiped off so we have a clean surface to grab the yellow. We grab more yellow, and I'm going to add that to the green that we just mixed up with the black. And so by adding more yellow, we're going to get a softer, lighter green. And that's pretty. And let's get a little bit of that up on the canvas. Let's see where he might go. I think that's a good one there. And let's do one right here. Okay, let's back up, see how it's looking now. And I'm also thinking, you know, what we can do is let's have a little bit of fun, and let's mix in, just for fun, let's mix in a little bit of this green that we made. So this green that we made was gray, which was the black and white, and then it was the phthalo green shade from Arteza. Let's see what happens if we put this in and mix this in. I think we're gonna get a really pretty color. Kind of a wonderful teal is what I'm expecting. So we've made it the color cooler and darker. By cooler because we added the blue color, and then darker because it was a darker color. All right. And let's just put that up on our canvas here. And we'll do another one here and here. All right. Okay, so that color's working. So really, you know, mixing these colors, it's just a matter of, there's that croaking sound from, that sounds like the frog croaking when the palette knife scrapes against the canvas, that kind of pleasing croaking sound. There we go. And then I'm also thinking about varying the direction of the marks. There we go. Get this guy, let's get the rest of him used. Here, we can maybe use another couple of marks here. And there. Okay, so let's back up. All right, wonderful. So now, let's just do a little bit more over here. Let's put on a couple more marks. I want to just do a couple marks of just purple, so let me grab another knife into our purple. Let's get a couple of marks put on here, and then I think we'll call this, there we go, we'll call this a day then. So I'm going to go ahead and end the end stream, and I want to thank everybody who's been watching, and please be sure to give me a like, and if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. And I want to thank everybody for joining. And this is Dena Tollefson. Until next time, bye-bye.